There's a new Superman movie out. This looks like a job for the Superman Show. Welcome, everybody, to the Superman Show, the first edition of this. Who knows if I'll do any more, but I sure hope to, because this is going to be fun. As you can see behind me, I like it as Superman. I love this new movie. I've seen it twice now. That implies 4 times. I've seen it twice now. Once normal shitty little screen, and then once in a huge, beautiful, actual IMAX screen, and that is the way to see it, my friends. It's a fantastic movie, but before we even talk about that, I want to talk about a real-life superhero that most of us all know and love. Kirk Brackman, better known as Cosplay Fitness, is doing something fantastic. He's doing a... matching each dollar he makes will be a minute of working out he does for certain reps of certain workouts that he's planned to do for pediatric cancer, all to fight it. Everything that he makes is going all to that. It's a wonderful thing to donate to, and this is an actual real superhero thing. Like this is what superheroes do. Not talking about the, look at the yippee-ki-yay. We're talking about this, but he's doing it, and it's something great to donate to contribute to. So please do, if you have extra money laying around. How about you don't buy that indie holster? Buy it in a couple months. How about you donate to Kirk instead? How about instead of going out tonight and getting hammered, give $50 to Kirk? It's such a good thing that he's doing, and I'm just so proud of him doing it, and I hope you can all help out. But anyways, so yeah, please check out his profile for further information. But yeah, for my love of Superman, it goes back to the point where I can't remember. I don't know. I don't remember life without loving this character. I truly don't. It's all blended together. Not just Christopher Reeve, which is that's you can't really see it too well, but that's his signature there. Not just the Christopher Reeve movies, not the Brandon Routh movie, not just the Richard Donner type. I love Superman, not just the movies. I love Superman. Comic books, animated series. This is honestly probably my favorite iteration of Superman. Just how they handle everything, and this new movie is very much like that animated series come to life, and it's just so cool to see that finally happen. I have loved this character for so long, and it's nice to get, vindicated. It's nice to get vindicated to see a movie finally come out that shows in just 2 hours why I love this character. Like, I've gotten contacted by so many people saying, "Oh my God, this movie really spoke to me, and Superman has never really spoken to me before." It's like, yeah, one more for the team. And it's not an us versus them. It's not DC versus Marvel. No, it's both. DC and Marvel. I saw Fantastic Four today. Loved it. I loved it. There's such a fantastic message of hope and heart and loving and belonging and family in that movie that it's just so fucking cool to actually see happen. These two, they started it all. Fantastic Four started Marvel, Superman started DC, and we're finally seeing movies get it right as what comic books have been. And it's just such a fascinating time to be a nerd. I was wondering today what it'd be like to be a kid nowadays, and I wonder if kids are even into all this kind of stuff, or do they have their own thing going on with, I don't know, like what my niece is into something called The Descendants, or like zombies, but not as zombies, just zombies, I think, something like that. I don't know. I'm sure some kids are into it, but I sure hope so. I sure hope so. But as I said, it doesn't mean that I just love the movies. I love the TV shows, the George Reeves. I remember watching that show as a kid. I watched Super Friends as a kid. Baby, like an infant, a little baby. And it just felt right. And I've loved Superman my entire life, and it's so cool to finally have people that I know through the land, not necessarily around me, but through the land, which is usually how it's been for me. Superman fans, there's not been one that I've ever been close to, although actually I do live very close to one that I've known for a while that's really cool. We used to be a part of a message board that we talked about Superman. It was a Superman Cinema message board, and we are actually a huge factor of why the Donner Cut happened. So sorry about that. It's not a great thing. But anyways, it's weird how my life has really coincided with Superman. I saw a sneak preview of Smallville months and months and months before it ever aired because it had a different mom. It wasn't played by Ned O'Toole. and it was on C-SPAN for some reason in Orlando. I just flipped through the channels and I saw a cornfield with a rocket ship and the camera panning out, and I was like, well, that can only be one thing, but I know there's a Superman show coming out, but it wouldn't be on this. And lo and behold, it was that. So I watched it, and it was pretty interesting to see what they had changed before, or what they changed later on when the show actually started. I think it was like 4 months before. It was just so cool because it's been a factor in my life. I moved out to L.A. to move in with a dude that I met from that Superman message board that I had met previously. We saw Christopher Reeve do a speech in Gainesville, and I'm going to try to find footage of that. I think I might be able to find that, and that'll be really cool to be able to do because I actually got to ask Christopher Reeve a question at the end of his speech, and it was just so cool. And I got I got emotional, as did many other people, because I just laid my heart out there. I told him in front of, I don't know, hundreds, thousands of people that I loved him, and I just felt the whole room just go, oh, but also, yeah, me too, us too. Like, it felt like just pure love, and it was so cool. It was just so awesome, and I would not be here if it wasn't for Superman. For crying out loud, I worked at a place with a dude that I kind of thought was a bit of a douche, and then he dropped a Superman the movie line on me. He dropped, what did he say? He said something that Lex Luthor said. It's amazing. What the hell did he say? Shit. Now I'm blanking because I tend to blank once the live starts. But he said a line from Lex Luthor in that movie, and I just stopped in my tracks and said, "Where did you hear that from?" And he said, "Superman the movie. What are you talking about?" So I was just blown away that someone else knew that movie, and it was just so cool that starting point led to me meeting a gentleman named Rich, who is why I'm here in New York, which is why I have this life and I am who I am, honestly. Those two guys, if you could have friends, those are the guys to have when your life's a bit of a shambles. I needed these guys so bad after I moved back from LA, and they were my Superman, and they got me to this wonderful place of well-being up here. I was not a happy guy. It took a while to get there, and they kind of helped me get there, even if they didn't know it. I've told them this, and they often forget because I usually tell them when we're all really fucked up. So, anyways, Superman is clearly very, very important to me, and I can't wait to talk to my guest tonight about it. He is a gentleman who we've had on the show before. We talked a little bit about Superman, but we didn't really get too into it. It was just heroes in general. But he has cosplays of Superman and Batman, more importantly, because his Batman is incredible. But his Superman's awesome, and we're going to talk about that tonight. And it's going to be with Matt Wacker, my dear friend. He was not single, but he wasn't married before. Now he is. And we're going to see how that's all going with him before we get... God, I hope you're out there. Not that I can't do this alone. I can talk about this by myself. Are you there?
I am here, my friend.
Damn, I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Well, that's good. I've got a face for radio anyway, so you're not missing much. Don't worry about it.
That's bullshit, and you know it. Can everyone else see him? If everyone else can see him, then it's fine. I'll just play it back later, and I'll be able to see him. I sure hope so, anyhow. So I would assume, please someone confirm, and we shall continue the show. Because if not, we will restart it, because I do want to see you, of course. What are you wearing right now? What a weird thing to ask two grown
I've
men.
got my recently acquired Superman Man of Steel hat. I found it on eBay by New Era. So I purchased it.
Nice.
It was already well broken in. So that was one little detail that the seller left out, was that he had previously sweated in it. So I had to get it nice and clean so I could wear it. But it's a pretty iconic hat. I like it a lot, and I was wearing it throughout the entire Superman screening process. The three times that I've seen the new movie and counting. So who knows how many times before this thing is done I will have gone to the theaters for my Superman fix.
I absolutely love it, and the questions have begun, because that was my first question. How many times have you seen it?
Oh
Do you think
yeah.
you're going to go back for more? Do you think?
Probably. I mean, it's Superman in theaters, and it's a good Superman, and it's one that I would encourage anybody who hasn't, who's on the fence. Maybe they're a Marvel fan, Marvel stan. I get it, but this is like obviously a big win for DC, and they, in my opinion, really nailed it. It's always a good sign for me. I tell my friends this. I've seen it three times so far. I have found more things to like about it, and I can be generally a harsh critic. If I see
Sure.
it the first time, but I'm like, okay, I'll see it again just to see if it, might be better than what I thought it was. And sometimes that's a big no. I find more things I hate about a movie, but with this one, each time I've seen it so far, it's been just one more little egg that I've noticed that I'm like, wow, So kudos to James Gunn. The ovation he got at Comic-Con was well deserved.
I'm so glad that happened. Like I want to go there someday. I've heard that San Diego's Comic Con is just a bonkers experience to begin with,
Oh man.
and I'm so glad that he got to see that people are very, very happy about all this, and that
Yeah.
he's the reason why.
Yeah.
Did you have any sort of trepidation walking into the movie, or did you kind of go in going, ah, this is going to be good. I know it's going to be good.
Oh, of course. How could you not? I mean, it's one of those things that, yeah, I love the outfit, man. You've got it going on. I love the S reveal there. It's
Oh,
looking
thank you.
good. But yeah,
Yeah,
I of course had my trepidations, just because it's Superman, and in my opinion, it's already been done to perfection. There's so much reverence for the Chris Reeve movies, especially the first one, maybe the second one, that I was just hoping for some sort of verisimilitude, the same kind of love and care for the character brought back into the mix, because we sadly haven't had that in a good long while. And so, yeah, there was trepidation just because, a lot of superhero movies and, fatigue, if you want to call it that, if that's a real thing. All of that was kind of creeping in, and I didn't want any of that, obviously, to affect Superman, because I wanted it to be a big win for so many reasons, and more importantly, just to really bring back what this character represents, bring back that color and that messaging and the hope, all of that Superman has brought to people for 85, 90 years now. And I felt that luckily, thankfully, that is what happened. So yeah, but yeah, initially there was some trepidation. It's all gone now.
absolutely.
I feel good about it.
Yeah, all that you said, same out of my mouth. But
Hmm.
I do have the faith that having seen, I think, almost every one of James Gunn's movies
Sure.
that are like, not like maybe not the trauma ones, but all the ones he's made officially, like in a major motion picture wise, I've never been disappointed by the guy. And everything I read by what he was going to say or what he was saying about the character, I was like, ah, I think he gets it. I think he really, really gets it.
Yeah.
And it's just weird to say, like, thank you for making those shitty ass comments on Twitter because this never would have happened if you didn't.
Right, right. Yeah. I mean, I was appreciative, and as I'm sure you were, that, just so much stuff from that, golden silver age comics, the 60s and 70s, and, some camp and some humor and charm that, those books from that era, brought to the character, that, it was clear to me that was his era of Superman, the stuff with Mr. Terrific, who honestly, in my opinion, was kind of the show stealer.
Yeah.
A lot of I think more modern fans might have been like, who? But Mr. Terrific, Guy Gardner, like he really nailed casting. I was a big fan, especially Corn Sweat. I mean, he was just phenomenal. And just a lot to appreciate there, especially for the diehard hardcore Superman fans who've been reading the books and who have been diligently following this hero for as long as he's been around, and as for as long as these fans have been alive.
Yeah.
It's really quite an astounding accomplishment. Yeah.
It truly is. The casting alone of David Corn Sweat really kind of set things forth because I saw him in, it was Pearl, or was it Triple X that he was in? Pearl, I
Uh,
think.
Both maybe, or was there like a sequel? I don't
That's a
know.
good question. I don't know. That's a good question. I'm asking myself a good question through you somehow.
Yeah.
I saw him in that movie as a projectionist, and I thought, boy, there's something about this guy. This guy's he kind of has that quality, that Superman quality, and apparently, it turns out James Gunn thought the same thing because I think that's what he saw as a
Right.
result. The fact that they were able to have him say earnestly things like golly or dude what the hey, and
Yeah. Right.
it just be totally earnest, made me honestly kind of levitate out of my seat. I knew when he said dude what the hey, I knew, oh my god, this is it, we're good, we're
Right.
actually good
Right.
now.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff like that. Saving the squirrel, of course, like throwing that in there, which I just saw recently that that was almost cut, but
Yeah,
Gunn kept it in there because again, it's
good.
just like what you were saying to your point about his rhetoric, some of his dialogue fitting in with old school Superman, those vibes, keeping that scene in there. I love that, like that, spending the time to show us that Superman cares about all living things, even small squirrels. Like that was really important. There was just so much of it, that I think about as I sit here. The number of times I saw it, just popped to mind, and it just makes me happy. I'm just thrilled that the movie is everything that I hoped it would be, and really any worries I might have had are kind of out the window. And I love that, of course, it just hit 500 million now
Yes.
worldwide in the box office. So, I mean, I'm sure Warner Brothers has to be happy about that, and now all they want is just more and more DC projects and more Superman. So that's all very awesome. Yeah.
And like I said, it's not a competition for me personally against Fantastic Four, but it is really cool that it beat it opening weekend.
Yeah.
I was
Yes.
honestly going like it's like okay, maybe beat it just a little bit. That'd be neat to see, and it
Yeah.
did. I mean, I guess we'll find out officially whether it really truly did, but I think it kind of seems like it's going
So
to.
yeah.
The part I've noticed when I saw the movie, if there was anyone that wasn't sold yet, it was the part where Superman says about crypto, but he's scared and he's out there alone, and I got to find him. You could feel
Mhm.
the audience that wasn't into it be like, "Shit, oh,
Right.
this is
Right.
good." Like this is he loves a dog. How can you
Yeah.
not love that? How can you not get behind that? What
Sure.
did you think of Rachel Brosnahan?
I thought she was actually really strong, Lois Lane. Certainly a step up from Amy Adams, and nothing against her personally. Just felt that maybe she wasn't so strong as Lois, and I felt
Yeah,
that everything that Rachel Brosnahan brought to the character, at least her own personality, I felt was very much aligned or in line with the character of Lois. So I thought it felt like maybe very effortless acting on her part to play Lois Lane, and I thought they had tremendous chemistry, even obviously on screen, but even in the press tour stuff, everything they did together, all the interviews, they were always hamming it up and having a good time. And even Nicholas Holt too, and a lot of the stuff on the
yeah.
DC Instagram, was his idea, and I thought that was all just like very, it was very charming. It was
Oh,
just
no
great.
kidding! I didn't know that. That's pretty
Oh yeah,
awesome.
yeah, and I think I think a lot of that is you see that chemistry obviously in the movie itself, and everybody performed just tremendously.
Absolutely. I think that she kind of took everything that was ever right about Lois in any previous performance by a previous actress
Hmm.
and just kind of made it all into that.
Right.
And I was actually able to speak with the woman who created the Marvelous Miss Maisel and ask her, were you able to see it? What'd you think? And she said, I
Oh,
was one of the first people to see this movie. And I felt so proud of her. And I said, like,
yeah.
you're maybe kind of the reason that she got this movie. So thank you very much. And she was
Right.
like, I know. And she like tipped her
Yeah.
weird hat that
That's
she always
awesome.
wears. It was really, really cool, man. It's
Yeah.
like I said, Superman just coincides with my life. It's just a fun thing, and
I
I've
like it.
really embraced it. Oh, by the way, I forgot to ask, how is married life? Did I didn't ask that, did I?
Oh no, you didn't. It's
Yeah.
it's great. We've been moving a lot. We were in California. We moved back to Missouri, where I'm from. Now we're back out in LA. So hopefully we can kind of stay pat for a bit. But everything's great. We've been busy, and we're happy to be back out here. She's close to her family, and we're just kind of enjoying all of the variety and all of the events that LA has to offer, and try to stay out of traffic as much as possible. So.
God, I don't blame you. That's so awesome. Well, if you ever head up to New York City area, please let me know because my wife
Oh,
and I would love to hang out with the both of you.
we'll see you in October then. New York Comic Con. We'll be there.
That's right. Oh,
Yeah,
hell yeah. That's going to be
yeah,
awesome. Okay,
yeah,
now I'm really looking forward to Comic-Con.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
always a fun time, but knowing this, that's even better. The supporting cast I thought also really shined, particularly Jimmy Olsen. Who was your favorite supporting character in the movie?
Well, it had to be Mr. Terrific. Like I said, I mean,
Oh yeah.
he was so that the actor. I can't pronounce his last name. Apologies for that, but he was just so tremendous as Mr. Terrific. He was terrific. You know, the energy, the intelligence, the whole vibe of the character. I mean, it just stripped straight from the comics, and it made me so happy. And he was, I mean, he was the show stealer for me.
That's a very good point. That he would be my second favorite, I would say. But for
Hmm.
me, Jimmy, oh, I lost my light. I don't need the light. For me, Jimmy just really hit it well because that's a hard character to really approach
Yeah.
properly. I mean, for crying out loud, I gotta take this off. For crying out loud, in the Snyder one, he gets murdered like five
Right.
seconds after he's
Right.
introduced.
Immediately. Right. Yeah.
My favorite prior to this was Michael Landes in Lois and Clark,
Oh
which
yeah.
which did have some really good stuff in it. But man, the Jimmy Olsen that we got in this movie, there's a part where Eve is telling him that Lex Luthor's been torturing a dog, and there's
Hmm.
like a beat, and he just goes, Jesus Christ! I felt like
Right.
that was almost him saying like, "Hey, look what I can do! I can be like a Michael J. Fox type character," because that was
Yeah.
very Michael J. Foxy. His
Hmm.
whole character kind of was in general. And one thing that I was talking to one of my nerd buddies about, apparently the reason that girls are really into him, and this is pretty nutty. In one of the comic books that came out like 4 years ago, he gets a love spell put on him, and he never
Uh,
realizes it. And there's girls all over the place just nuts
uh-huh.
about him, and he can
Uh-huh.
never figure out why. And I think James Gunn maybe just popped that in because
Yeah. Yeah.
it's the only thing that kind of makes sense. But I just think that's so fantastic that he
Yeah.
really clearly cares about the fans, and I love that so much. But there were some disappointments for me despite their chemistry. For me personally, Lex Luthor kind of lacked a little bit of something. There's
Hmm.
usually like a charm that the character has that I thought this one
Yeah.
was lacking, unless that was the point. Did you have any disappointments in the movie at all?
Uh, well, I think, you know, my impression of Nicholas Hoult as an actor, I think he's a great actor, but I see what you're saying. I felt that too, especially in the initial viewing of the movie. You know, a lot of his monologuing, of course, was very well done, but
Yes.
I think he's got a likable face. And I think for me, that was kind of what made it difficult to you know, enjoy his performance to the fullest as Lex Luthor. Like you want that guy to be somebody who just like makes you kind of cringe and makes your skin crawl and makes you hate him. And you know, certainly by the end of it, you know, I felt that way. And you know, the having the joke of Crypto come in at the very end and drag his ass all around the Luthor Corps ship or whatever you want to call that thing. I mean,
Right.
I enjoyed that, but I see what you're saying. I think for me, honestly, the biggest disappointment was the cameo at the very end because you know, obviously it's laying the foundation for Supergirl, and we're seeing what it's going to be one of these kind of, okay, she's young, she has to realize who she is and what she's capable of, and she has to accept that. So it's going to
Right.
be one of those. It's going to be one of those kinds of movies, but that was the only thing that, you know, when she calls Superman a bitch, I'm like, okay, all right,
That's
now
yeah.
hang on, you know, like that you know, don't you dare call my precious that, you know. I just got
Right.
really upset in that moment, but I'm sure that there's a plan and a strategy to that, but that was just the one thing that kind of stuck in my mind. Each time I've seen it, I'm like, okay, and I wasn't even that upset, honestly, about the whole twist with Jor-El because that too has been explored in the comics. You know, that's we've
Totally.
seen that before. You know,
Totally.
so people feeling upset about that, I think that's a bit unwarranted. It's you know, I kind of disregard those you know, those criticisms because you know it's pick up a book and you'll pick up, especially a more recent one that was explored more recently. His you know uh, his wanting for Kal El to go forth and populate the earth and you know reinvigorate Krypton or whatever. But yeah, so I mean, yeah, the Supergirl thing at the end, to answer your question, was probably the biggest thing that stuck in my mind is like, oh, you know, because it's going to obviously build into what becomes the Supergirl movie and the sharing of Crypto. I noticed that right away. Like, okay, they put Crypto in Superman, and now he's going to go off with her, so we're going to see Crypto and Supergirl. So, for those of you know, those of you out there who enjoy the Baby Yoda and Grogu's of the world, you're going to get your cute little you know creature that'll be in the DCU and the Superman Supergirl universe. So, but I got to keep that alive. Got to sell
Yeah,
that merchandise. So,
that's very true. And if there's one thing that Warner Brothers loves doing, it's that.
you're right,
Um,
exactly. Yeah.
the music. What did you think of the score?
I was at least happy that there's hints of John Williams, and especially in some of the more climactic moments of the movie, you hear that those notes. It's like, okay, um, they're at least now recognizing that this is like the James Bond theme of Superman, and it's made by one guy, and it's John Williams, and John Williams is a god, so let's bow to him and let's respect the fact that he's already done it and nobody can do it better. So like I was actually very impressed throughout. I thought like the Daily Planet theme was really great, and just the I guess selfishly I kind of wanted to see that nod at the end, but then I realized that's been done before, like the Chris Reeve breaking the fourth wall, looking at the camera as he flies away. But instead they James Gunn does what he always does, and he comes up with the punk rocker and makes it a popular now viral song for social media, and I've heard it now so many times that I hope I never hear it again. But for the most part, like the soundtrack, the score, I thought was great. I know I've talked to friends who were a bit disappointed that they just wanted it to be an exact replicant of the
Mhm.
'78 John Williams, but I'm like, well, like that was made for its time and its era, and it works perfectly for that movie. And so I respect the decision to at least acknowledge it and do an homage and remix it and use the important parts of the main theme and certainly the more impactful moments of the new movie. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was good.
Absolutely. I've always felt that it should be a James Bond situation where it's the outlying theme, but then maybe each actor gets its own, or even each movie entry gets its own special
Hmm.
theme, because they
Hmm.
did that with Superman Returns. That main theme is there, but then he also gets a personal theme, which is quite
Right.
a lovely theme. And usually when that happens, it ends up being quite nice. And I
Hmm.
can't tell if it's Crypto's theme or his personal theme in this new one, but there is a different theme that is just really, really lovely and fits the whole um, uh, feeling of it all. It fits it all. But like you said, I don't feel like the original would have worked. I too wanted it at a
Right.
certain point, but by towards the end, it's like, well, it's doing its own thing. I don't know if that full theme would work here, because it's
Yeah.
just it's a different era. It's like a more like pomp and circumstance sort of thing. And this is,
Correct.
it's not really doing that kind of thing with the movie.
Right.
Um, Do you think that the entire movie was too James Gunny or just enough James Gunny?
Uh, I guess I would say it's just enough, and just enough could be considered almost too much for me. I kind of like his style, but I kind
Hmm.
of don't like. I'm just glad it wasn't egregious. Like there were moments, of course, where uh, for the sake of a joke, there were times I felt where a lot of pregnant pauses just to make sure the audience understood that okay, this was him inserting a joke and something to that effect. And I'm not necessarily a big fan of that. That makes it very much,
Thanks.
feel like a Guardians of the Galaxy kind of movie, which, I guess if I did have, one of my major trepidations is that, okay, he's going to basically put Superman in the Guardians of the Galaxy universe. And I was hoping that that didn't happen. And I don't think it did. But it's
Yeah.
just who he is as a filmmaker, as a writer director. He's gonna do those things because he can. And that's what got him hired probably, and so that's what they expected. And I felt like it wasn't too much. It didn't affect, in hindsight. Again, I don't consider it when I'm analyzing it or I'm critiquing it. There were moments where it was more severe than in other moments, but at the end of the day, like again, the messaging is there, the colors are there, the theme is there, Superman is there. So like I give it a pass. I wasn't too upset about that.
I honestly feel like it could have been. I don't think it could have been. I didn't want it to be. But I mean, think of how few songs we got in that, which I was really that's
Hmm.
what I was worried about, is that
Yeah.
every little thing he was going to do was going to be followed by like a '90s or 2000s
Right.
song. It's like,
Sure.
okay,
Sure.
I don't really love this, but I'll take it, I guess. But I will say that goddamn Iggy Pop song has been in my head
I
since I
know.
saw that movie like
Come on.
3 weeks
Yeah.
ago. Like
Make me. Yeah.
it's a good song, but that's kind of enough. I would like to hear something else in my head.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Get the brain
did
going. Huh?
anything really surprise you in the film at all?
Let's see. What major surprises? I mean, not really. I didn't. I kind of kept my expectations low, as I do with all new movies that come out nowadays. I just,
Best to
I
do.
obviously, I want the movie to succeed, and I felt like it has, and it did with me. And I wasn't, this is probably a moment where people would say that the Jor-El thing was a surprise, but like I've already mentioned, it wasn't necessarily a surprise to me because that's already been explored.
Yeah,
Uh, you
yeah.
know, I guess the one surprise was maybe that they make they make Jimmy the sex charmer and his relationship with Eve, but that worked too, and I like the actor. He was I remember him. Most recently from Righteous Gemstones, and I think at one point
Oh
I
yeah,
was
is he in that?
yeah, I was telling Katie, my wife, that I thought he's kind of got that boyish look where he could be a Jimmy, and then they end up casting him, so it was kind of that you know that moment of unbelievable reality that like, hey, I kind of future cast
Yeah,
that kid, but
right. You
yeah,
did Jimmy, I did David.
yeah,
Superman. Good. Good
yeah,
for us. Yeah,
yeah.
because he's really great in shit. Was it the Santa Clarita Diet? Was that the one he's in? There's the one
Yeah, I
where
didn't see
the
that.
Drew Barrymore is a zombie kind of. I think that's what it is. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I
he's very much Jimmy Olsen in that. So
nice.
my biggest surprise was when Lex Luthor actually blew the dude's brains out.
Oh
That
yeah, that was yeah.
that was a step. I don't know if it was a step too far. It shows you how serious this Lex is and how like
Sure.
truly fucking evil he is. I will say
Yeah.
that about that, which is a good thing because sometimes the movies do kind of hold back on how evil he is. Because man,
Yeah.
I'm almost contradicting myself with the whole charm thing. That takes away with how just fucking batshit crazy evil he is. There's one
Right.
issue where I think it was an issue, or maybe it was just like an end of the issue special where he goes and meets this waitress in the middle of nowhere and just says, "I know everything about your life, and I can crush you like this. I just want you to know this. Just
Hmm.
live your
Hmm.
life knowing that I could change it at any moment and destroy you." And it's just like such a petty, awful thing that he does, and it's just like, holy fuck, he
Right.
really is evil. So it's nice to see the movie actually say, "Look, he's shooting this dude in the head." And
Yeah.
it was really cool that that was the impetus of Metamorpho changing
Yeah.
sides, but to have an actual headshot in a
Yeah.
Superman movie, I don't know so much about that. That was
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of
I would agree with you. Like, yeah, that's certainly shocking from the standpoint that it's a kids movie and it's a PG movie, and you don't see any blood splatter or anything, but the idea that
true.
he shoots a guy in the head. Yeah, but again, like, that didn't shock me in that, if you know anything about Lex, it's something his character, he would go that far to prove his hatred for Superman. So in that respect, I wasn't so shocked, but I can understand that, yeah, for a kids movie, maybe they'll get some letters about that. Who knows? But
Well, a dude did
yeah,
get crushed by a subway in the first Superman movie, so
yeah,
there
yeah.
there tends to be traumatic things. Speaking of, how do you think it stacks up against Superman the movie and Man of Steel as far as starting off franchises?
Well, I mean, Christopher Reeve in the first Superman movie. I mean, it is much like the character itself. It's the godfather of the superhero film genre, and so there's so much reverence and nostalgia. And I mean, Christopher Reeve is you think about him playing the character, but then him as a man and what happened to him with his
Yeah.
accident and becoming almost a real life Superman. There's just so much reverence there that I don't think it could ever be surpassed, and I knew that before this movie ever came out. but I firmly put it at like a number three spot in my all time. You know, one and two are the top two. This is in the third spot, and I've always been more of an opponent to the Man of Steel and the Snyderverse universe. I've always felt that like it's just a big dark filter over what Superman is supposed to be. You know, it's basically it's all Batman with Superman mixed in, and sadly, you know, to Henry Cavill's chagrin, you know, I thought he had the potential to be great. He just was not given the material to be great, and you know that's what we're going to have to live with. It's the one thing, you know, that the Snyderverse people are going to cling to is that's kind of their thing now, is that, well, you know, it was great for what it was, and it had the potential to be better if it wasn't for all of the suits getting involved and Warner Brothers and this and that. But yeah, so I mean, you know, in terms of, I guess, a ranking or where I put it, I mean, to launch a franchise or to launch a universe, you know, not that the Christopher Reeve movie did that by any means, but if you think about it in terms of, you know, basically launching a genre of films and movies, you know, it's just, it can never be surpassed. But this one, the new one, is basically, you know, like right there in that top three, right after those first two for me.
I am very close to that. I have determined after my second viewing that I do believe it's my second favorite Superman
Oh,
movie, which is, you know,
nice.
that's a huge thing to say. But
Yeah.
I have just watched every single Superman movie, the Christopher Reeve and all the Henry Cavill ones. And at the end of the day, I find so much joy in this new movie that I haven't really gotten since 1987, since
Hmm.
I saw
Hmm.
Superman 4 in the theater, which
Yeah.
were grown adults were like laughing, like, what the fuck is this? But I was just like, why are they laughing? Why are they laughing at that, Daddy?
Yeah,
Why are they
yeah,
laughing?
yeah,
And my
yeah,
dad was like, this is really not great. They're laughing
yeah.
because oh no,
Right.
this is bad.
That's
And
right.
yet I still watch that movie kind of with those same eyes, that it's still like a goofy comic book come to life, Superman
Right.
4. I still love it so much that does kind of skew my opinion, but this new movie, it does something that we haven't seen in a long time, and I'm very, very happy about that. But even that happening, I still would have liked to have seen Henry Cavill get his own proper
Right.
Superman movie where he's actually, you know, saving people happily
Right.
and not pouting about the whole goddamn thing. Would you like to have seen more, like one more done right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think he deserved that. I think after everything that he had went through as that character, you know, and especially how it ended, you know, very bittersweet. You know, there's all sorts of material about that. James Gunn basically being hired the same day that it was decided by one of the other co-execs at Warner Brothers that Henry Cavill would stay on as Superman. It's just a big clusterfuck of a situation, and then basically Cavill's got to go with egg on his face and tell all of his followers that, hey, actually, I'm not going to be Superman. You know, and this is why, you know, in my mind, yes, I would have loved him for him to get a pure Superman movie, but this is why I do think we're not done with him in terms of the DC universe. I think that they're going to make good with him and potentially cast him as some other character going forward. I'd love to see that, and I think he kind of deserves that after what they did to him, and you know, I mean, and he was, like I said, he uh, had great potential. You know, he's a class act from what I've read, what I've heard. I don't know him
And a big
personally.
nerd,
Yeah, a big
one
nerd.
of
Like
us.
I think he deserves a chance. You know, I mean, he won't get it now, obviously, but he deserves a chance to be a part of something that would showcase, you know, his ability to be a great superhero, not in this case Superman, but to be involved in a universe going forward where he can really, you know, showcase with good material. You know, and who knows? That might be Batman. You know, it'll be interesting. That'd be the grand prize, that he both played Superman and then he plays Batman. Who knows? But uh,
That would be awesome. I
yeah,
support that idea.
yeah,
DC Comics, Warner Brothers, if you're watching
yeah,
this, make that happen. That'd be
yeah,
badass.
yeah.
Why do you suppose it is that so many people really, really attach to the Snyderverse?
Oh, I don't know. You're asking the wrong person. I certainly did not. It was never my cup of tea. I think really what it is, is it's a cultural thing. At that point in time, so much fanfare for Batman and the darkness obviously surrounding that character. Not that Batman launched the Snyderverse by any means, but it's just like you're coming off the heels of the success of the Dark Knight franchise. That
Right.
was the big thing, so now you've got Christopher Nolan producing Man of Steel, and it was just a choice, and it wasn't necessarily the right choice, but I think the reason why the Snyderverse fans are so hell bent on making sure that it's never forgotten is that to them stylistically it represented something in culture that they feel is important, or it's representative of what they might have been going through at that time. I don't know.
It was anti-Marvel also. It was very
Yeah,
anti-Marvel. It was not anything
yes,
they were doing. That's a very good
absolutely.
point. No, that's a very good point.
Yeah.
Um, I found it fascinating because I liked Man of Steel quite a bit, but still had a whole lot of problems with them. Like
Oh yeah.
we should never see Superman snap someone's neck in a fucking movie.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
I heard a couple people cheer when that happened, and I just went, "Uh-oh,
Yeah.
this
Right.
this is
Right.
not good for humanity."
Right.
And so then Batman versus Superman came out, and I
Yeah.
really liked it a lot. But the backlash to it was just like, Jesus Christ, it's not that bad. And
Yeah.
there was so much backlash to it that when he did get fired, people got so upset that like people that didn't care about this previous movie I saw, it was very confusing. It was just kind of a fair weather thing to happen. So who knows
Yeah.
what they'll do next? Whatever.
Well,
Yay
it's
if you
crazy. Sorry, but the Warner Brothers has always gotten in their own way. It's so sad
always.
because always dating back to the original Superman franchise, you have one and two. One and two are being shot simultaneously. Then you fire Donner in the middle of all that, and then you bring in Richard Lester, and then like three and four are not strong. And the same thing happens with Burton and Batman. He does the first two, and then he's like, okay,
Yeah,
then he's out, Keaton's out, and they got to go a different direction. And then same thing happened again with the Snyder stuff. It's just like this is why I hope and pray to God that okay. And from what I've heard, like it is, they have kind of autonomy separate from Warner Brothers. They can make their own decisions, DC Studios and
I
James
think
Gunn, and
so.
I
Yeah, I
and I
think so.
think that's I think that's going to be ultimately the critical thing to their success is that nobody, hopefully, from Warner Brothers can jump in and say, "Well, I think we should do it this way," because that has always historically fucked them. So yeah,
Always. Again,
always,
people
yeah,
while watching, always. They are
always,
always like that. It just blows my mind that people forget that this shit happens.
yeah,
Which, there was all the development hell for the Nicolas Cage movie, which
right.
I personally, I'm one of the few people out there that be like, I want to see that. I want to see how weird that would be. It would have been
That would
so
have been a trip,
bonkers.
yeah.
But it would have been made at a time where Nicolas Cage was just fucking nailing every movie he was making.
Right.
This
Yeah.
would have come after like Face Off, after like
Yeah.
the Rock, the Con Air, the Face Off trilogy, and
Yeah.
it kind of maybe would have worked, but it's probably for the best it didn't. What do
Right.
you personally think of this one here, Superman Returns?
Oh yeah. So it's funny. I just rewatched it after I saw the new one. Because it is kind of sadly the black sheep, the forgotten one, after all that we've seen in the last 15 years or whatnot. But I went back just to reevaluate, fresh eyes. Because I saw it in theaters a number of times, and I remembered having a mixed bag of emotions about it. And as I watched it last week, I was like, I look at it now as more of an homage to the Chris Reeve movies and not necessarily a continuation or a follow up or anything like that. I think, the cast was obviously very green. Brandon Routh, his first acting gig, really, like
You could tell.
a complete unknown. And yeah, but I mean, he had the look, and there are moments in that movie as I watched it, where I was like, damn, like he looks like Superman, and he did a great job. Honestly,
He
I look
sounds like
back and
Superman. The softness in
yeah,
his
yeah,
voice.
and he's
Oh,
great. He's also great as Clark too. At the Daily Planet, I thought he did he has like the shoulder hunch, and he's got kind of that old aw shucks look, and but for the most part, like it's still like I think it suffers. I even back then when I saw it, I was had a hard time with, Superman. He flies up into the sun, he goes back down, and he rips a giant uh, kryptonite landmass out of the ocean. And I'm like, okay, that would immediately like kill him, crush him. That
Yeah.
end of movie, like that. That's hard to get past, but it's inexplicable. I mean, there's a lot about the original Chris Reeve movies where he he's circumnavigates the globe, makes it go back in time. It's all a stretch. It's all impossibilities. It's
Magic.
all it's fantastical, and
Magic.
that's the whole point. Yeah, but I think it deserves some credit. Stylistically, cinematically, I think it's gorgeous. I think Bryan Singer, he made a beautiful movie. There's moments in there where it's just like, that's wallpaper, that's a screenshot, that's
Yeah.
a screenshot. Um, but
And
just
it dares to
some
be
of the
quiet. There's so many scenes where it's just like loud, 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 quiet.
right.
And
Oh yeah,
Superman down. I repeat, a Superman is down. But
yeah.
yeah, I personally I love that movie. It sometimes it bothers me. It could be better. A better
Right.
editor would have made a better movie, but at the end of the day, I really do like what we got. Um, and typically, if Superman's in it, I'm gonna enjoy it. What would you say to anyone who hasn't watched this new movie because of their love for a previous movie? What would you say to them to get them to see this new one?
Oh, I mean, it's inspiring, it's motivating, it's worth seeing. It's the reason why theaters exist. It's
Yeah,
everything that you could really, I think, hope for in a modern day superhero movie. So, I think all of that, regardless of your affinity for Marvel, if you're a complete stan and that's all you want to see, and you'll never go see Superman, I think there's just so much in this that you cannot turn the other cheek. You can't turn a blind eye to it. There's, it's just, uh, I don't know. It might be because of like yourself, how much I care about this character. It's been one of these all-consuming things since I was little. It can make you misty-eyed, and I feel like it's not just for people who are fans of Superman. I think it's got some very genuinely wholesome moments that have been missing uh, in culture for the
absolutely.
last I don't know 8-10 years, however long you want to call it,
Yeah.
but. I just think that it's just a feel good movie, and I'm loving all the memes about wanting to be a better person coming out of this, and like feeling hopeful, feeling like a new sense of purpose, and wanting to go out and be a good person. I think that's ultimately the message of the character. That's what it's all about, and I'm loving that. That's what's currently happening. So.
Oh my God. Beautiful said. Beautifully said, man. That's a perfect answer. What are you looking forward to most in this new world of Superman?
Oh, I think it's the interactions with the other characters, of course. I mean, this was a great kickoff, a great way to initiate and start. But I mean, honestly, I love Superman, but I love Batman almost as equally. So I can't wait to see stylistically James Gunn's approach there. I'm hoping, it's going to be tricky. As I look at this in my mind, I think about, well, he can't make it as colorful as Superman because that'd be too camp. That'd be like Adam West almost.
Right.
66 Batman. I don't know, but Brave and the Bold is a good title. And if anybody who's seen the animated series, that I love that. Batman is obviously very serious in that, but he's charming and he smirks and he makes jokes, and the gray and the blue. So I'm hoping that that's the version he goes with, because we haven't seen that in the movies.
Oh,
We
oh,
haven't
I
seen
hope.
Yeah, we haven't seen that version of Batman in the movies, and I think if he gets the right guy to go in there and he can play both Batman and Bruce Wayne, to see it all, just to be along for this ride, to see how it's going to culminate, to see the introduction of all these characters whom have been a part of the public consciousness for so long for DC. It's like what Marvel's done, where they introduce characters in post credit scenes and things. Like that's what's exciting, is just, how and when and where, like how's it all going to shape up, and hopefully in 10 years, we'll get our own end game kind of a thing, where it's going to be, just all for all the DC people who've waited.
Uh,
They've waited so long for it. I can't wait for that. So
my eyes dilate at the thought. My
yeah,
God. Oh God, I hope that happens. My
yeah.
friend Matt, we're at the end of our interview. If you could believe it, it's almost been a
Oh
full
man,
hour. This has been amazing. I knew it would be
yeah,
talking
yeah.
Superman with you. I absolutely knew it would be.
Absolutely.
But I do have one closing question I've been asking everybody.
Uh-huh.
If you could tell your 9-year-old self anything, what would it be?
Oh, buy a house. Yeah,
Good answer. Good
that's
answer.
it. That's it. I'll keep it at that. Yeah.
There you go. All right, buddy, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to be on here.
Right on, man. Thank you so much for the invite. And I love the backdrop too. I love the whole thing you got going on here. I love indie, but I also love this. So hey, man after my own heart here. Way to go.
We do what
That's
we
it.
got to do, man. All
That's
right, have a
right.
great night, pal. I'll talk to you
Yeah.
soon.
You too. Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Oh boy, I knew that was going to be awesome. Yay. First Superman show done. I feel like I want to do another one, probably just Christopher Reeve based. If anyone out there wants to join me for that, maybe someone named Shane, who is not the indie cosplayer, but the Shane that I have known for Jesus Christ, 25 years now. He was a member of the aforementioned Superman message board group that I have not been a part of for a while. We won't talk about them for Christ's sakes, because that's just what they want. But yeah, Shane and I have known each other, and he actually came and flew across the goddamn world to stay with us, my wife and I, which is really really amazing. That he spent so much time with us and got to see New York and experience what our life is like here, and we got to just it's the cool thing about internet friends, like you all know, is that when you meet up, rarely is there a weirdness. It just, these people, and it's just so awesome. So it would be pretty cool to have someone from that old message board on this show. Maybe even a couple people from that'd be pretty neat. Anywho, thank you all so much for watching the show. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day for watching this, and taking a chance on this different format. Like he said, we love Indiana Jones, but this is it. This is my main thing. This is my main love. I love Superman oh so much, and I'm so goddamn glad that he's finally getting his day in the sun. But yeah, thanks for watching. Next week there won't be a show because actually I guess it kind of is. It's less than a week. My next show will be Saturday, this upcoming Saturday night. As a matter of fact, with none other than Aussie Indiana himself, Justin Anderson. We're going to be talking about 80s movies, and he's going to be asking the questions, and I can't wait to answer them. It's going to be so fun. We're going to do it at, normal time, 8 o'clock, but that'll be Saturday night, Eastern Standard Time. Please watch that. Whether you're watching this live, you watch it later. I really appreciate you as my audience, as my friend, as my family. This is so fun to do. It's all just extracurricular shit. Nobody getting paid to do this, It's all just fun, and I really have a high hope that you're all having fun too, watching this with me. So thank you for being there for me, and thank you for all the comments, all the likes, all the subscriptions, and all that shit. I gotta say all that stuff. I hate the internet. Blah blah blah. You click here, click there, subscribe here, bloody bloody blue. Maybe the fact that I make fun of it is why I don't really take off. But I don't give a fuck. I do things my way because this is my game. This is my way. All right, folks. I'm overheating. This is really hot in here. So I'm going to take off all my clothes. Thank you all so much. You're the best. Have a great night. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.